welcome out everyone to the Mastermind. So let's see, I'm looking through here, and there is a doTERRA diamond call that's going on right now from corporate, so we might have a few of our leaders not present here for a few minutes, but we'll start unmuting some lines. And the topic that we're going to deal with today is a few years ago I went to a conference for another network marketing company, and it was kind of an opportunity meeting. And the individual stood up and created a theme or spoke on a theme called the dream, the struggle, and the victory. And then he spent the next half hour or so talking about his experiences with the dream, the struggle, and the victory. And then also I went to, several years later, I went to a Mastermind event for network marketers in Texas, and again, I saw that theme resurface of the dream, the struggle, and the victory. And then I've seen that same group kind of rally around that theme. And so I thought that it would be a great topic for us. By the way, there's some fantastic things that doTERRA just talked to the diamonds about, and it probably would fit right in line with this topic of the dream, the struggle, and the victory. And so I'd like some of you to think about experiences that you've had in your life, and maybe experiences that you've encountered in doTERRA, and maybe they could be related to other things as well, of where you had a dream, you pursued it, experienced the struggle, and then tasted the victory. And now, if you'd like to comment or something comes to mind for you, press *5*, and we'll unmute your line for you. All right, we have Courtney Moses.
Hey, so this actually just happened to me. So this is great. So I recently went out to Montana and Idaho and stuff and do a little bit of traveling. And on my way, I wanted to stop and do like some different hikes and things like that, just to, get out and exercise a little bit with all the driving I was doing. And there's one particular spot in Montana where I wanted to go hike up this trail that I heard some really, really amazing things about, and that there was, if you're lucky, you'd be there in a day where you could see billy goats. And there's just a whole herd of them up there, but it's a really, really steep climb, and it's for advanced climbers. I mean, it was just one of those things I thought, well, I'm not in great shape, but I could do this. I can take my time and I can do it, right? So along the way, before I even get to the place to hike, I have some difficulties, and my car gets, off the road, and I'm stuck, and I have to call 911 and get a tow truck. And I mean, there are just all these things, and it set me back about 2.5 hours that I'm waiting and not knowing what's going on, if I'm going to get out there. And then I finally get my car out and go to the top of the mountain, and I find this hike, and I'm like, okay, the map says it's just, 1.5 mile round trip. So I thought I can do that. So I didn't bring water or anything. I just thought it was going to be super quick. And it ends up being 5.5 miles. I mean, just like one thing after another just kept going wrong. And I remember just thinking, I do not want to go through all of this. The experience of the financial cost of this tow truck, and the emotional of, oh my gosh, can I get off this mountain? And what just happened to my car? Is it going to be in a shop? To I'm so dehydrated and my legs are killing me and it's hot and I have nothing to eat or drink on me. Like, I don't want to go through all of this hell to get to the top of this mountain and not see Billy Goat, or to turn around too early, right? So anyways, I finally get to this one spot, and I'm like, all right. And I'm just praying, and I'm just like, please let this be the end. Like, I'm just tired. I'm done, and I can't go anymore. It's not worth it. And I look up, and I go around one more turn in this trail, and I look up, and there is a billy goat. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then I'm just sitting there staring at it, and I took a picture, and I never even posted this on Facebook or anything because it was such a spiritual moment for me, such a high moment. And then it came down right in front of me, and I was like, oh my word. I just put my hand out and I touched it, and then I turned around and laughed. And I got thinking about that experience all the way down. I was thinking about how that is so much like my doTERRA journey. You have these really high moments. And I remember thinking, if I would have known that it was going to be that horrible going up, I wouldn't have done it. I just would not have done it. It just was not fun. I did not enjoy any of it. The view was beautiful, but that was about it, right? And then I remember thinking, but if I would have known what it was like at the end to see that billy goat, to have it so close to me, to touch it, to feel it, to experience that, then I would have kept going. And so I think that's what it's like in doTERRA sometimes, right? You haven't tasted that victory sometimes, right? So you talk about the struggle, the win, the victory. It's like you haven't tasted that. You're just struggling. And it's like so badly sometimes do I just want to like download that victory moment and those wins to people on my team. I'm like, I want you to taste this. I'd like to see what this is like, you know, because that keeps you going. And so I think it's just one of those things that we're not always going to know what it's like, but if we did, we would keep going. And so I just hope that people can do that. And I've done that in my journey with doTERRA. I mean, you hit ranks and then you fall back and then you hit another rank and you fall back and you commit a builder and then they quit. I mean, it's just constant theme in my life and in doTERRA to do that. But what's more constant is that with every struggle comes another victory and comes another learning opportunity and something in a way that I've been able to grow and experience that I never would have had. And that growth and experience keeps you going forward.
You know, Court, I have a question for you. When you think about it, because I'm well aware of this experience and the things that led up to it. And I remember you telling it and just, having it wash over me what an amazing miracle had taken place when that had occurred, and how awesome that whole experience was. So let me ask you this question. Is there a victory when there is no struggle?
Oh, personally for me, I want to say no. I mean, and I'd have to process that for a minute here, but just my first initial reaction is no, because what is there? I mean, when I think of victory, I'm thinking, wow, you just conquered something, you did this, and this overwhelming feeling of just like gratitude and astonishment, amazement, and just everything you just did, right? And if there's not a struggle, it's kind of like, it's like anticlimactic. It's like, whatever, that was that. You know what I mean? So I don't think that we recognize the victories and the wins when we don't go through the struggles.
Right. Because I was thinking about it as you were talking, and I realized I really don't think there's a victory if there's no struggle. And the reason why is because a victory indicates winning. And
right.
And a win can't come without a challenge. Nor is there any sweetness to victory if there's no struggle. And I remember myself when I went diamond, it was such an amazing, gut-wrenching struggle to climb the last few feet of the sheer straight-up cliff to diamond, that when I hit it, I remember just weeping because victory was so sweet. And because of that, I've started to, as I've matured, in life and in experiences, I don't know if this is the same for you, but I've started to actually relish the struggle because of the sweetness of the victory.
Yeah, because you know that's coming, right? As bad as this struggle is right now, like the pure hell and the anguish and everything I'm feeling, so sweet is that joy going to be when I finally get there. And let's get real though, it sucks, right? I mean, like I'm struggling right now going blue, and I'm in that same place of, oh my gosh, is this going to be worth it? Am I on the right road? Am I just on a completely different mountain here? Am I going the wrong way? I mean, it sucks, right? And so we can laugh about it because we've tasted some of that victory, but the struggles are real and they suck,
They suck and they're
it's
awesome.
like you relish it and you're grateful for it, but you still have those moments you break down and cry. Like, I'm not going to lie, I cry over where I'm at sometimes, It's like, but I'm grateful for it, and I look for the opportunities of what is it that I'm learning here, and what can I change, what needs to be, improved on, and so I'm grateful for that, right? And then you're just like, oh, this is going to be so amazing when I finally do it.
Right. And, here's another thought, too. But the initiation of a dream is the initiation of a struggle. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think that's really powerful, because really without that dream, then, the dream is what gives you the struggle. Like, that you're going to reach for something outside of your comfort zone. You're going to reach for something that's maybe not even on the horizon yet, right? And so because of that, there's going to be struggle. And so I think that's really important for people to realize that, if it's not really a dream like that, then there's not going to be a struggle, and you're not really reaching far enough, And I think so many times we see people that want to stay in their comfort zone, and so they're not struggling, they're not growing, and they're not reaching a victory. So it's like you have to dream big enough that you're going past that comfort zone to go through the struggles to get to the top.
I think just as victory mandate is preceded with struggle, I think the moment a person claims a dream, the struggle begins. And so I think once we have that realization that there's a dream, when you claim a dream, you move into struggle, because that's the battle. And that's where you fight or stand for your dream. And then victory is the achievement where you saw it through. And oh, how awesome that is.
Right.
Oh, that's cool. This is good stuff. All right, let's see. We have a hand raised from Jerry Chandler.
Hi, Rod. How are you?
I am super fantastic.
It sounds like it. So I was listening to what Courtney was saying, and a couple of things stood out to me. One is, so I had experience this last week. My dad is one of 11 children, and they have a family reunion every 2 years, and all of the 11 children, it was a dairy farm family, and all the 11 children had a bunch of their own kids, and so we have a very big family. And every other year we get together for a family reunion, and we rotate whose turn it is to be in charge of that. And this year it was my dad's turn to be in charge, which means his kids were an integral part of that. I'm the oldest, so I took a lot of that responsibility on my shoulders. And we planned for 2 years. 2 years we planned this family reunion, and it was no small feat. We took everyone up in the mountains, and we went camping, we collected money, we had all these different activities and things that were going on. It was a 4-day reunion, and there was a lot of struggle. It started off pretty easy because there wasn't the timeline was so long that it didn't feel intimidating, and so it's like, okay, we're going to start off and we're going to get things moving, and things started to progress, and then we get down to crunch time, the 6 months before the reunion, and we're trying to collect money and trying to get a commitment from people, and the struggle starts intensifying a little bit and started wearing us out a little bit. And then we get down to the week before, and it's just crazy intense struggle. And the closer we got to the finish line, the harder the struggle became, and the more intense our emotions became. And we just wanted so bad to make this a memorable event for everyone involved, and we wanted it to be appreciated, and we wanted to cherish the memories that we were going to make. And so there was an emotional level to it that wasn't just a physical thing, a physical struggle, but an emotional struggle. And then we get up to the camp, and even while we are experiencing victory, while we are seeing the fruit of our labors blossom right in front of us, we're still experiencing family drama and little bits of struggle during the week, because you can't have 150 family members without drama. But we had these little bits of victory and these little bits of struggle in between. And then, the real victory didn't actually come until we were all home and rested, and we were able to sit back and reflect on the achievement and
receive comments from the family on their experiences and their memories and the things they cherished about their experience. And that's when it really hit us, like what we accomplished and how grateful we were for the experience. But right up until after the victory, it wasn't even during the victory, but after the victory were we able to really appreciate it. And you asked Courtney the question, you asked her if you can have victory without struggle. And I would actually disagree. I would say that you can have a victory without struggle, but you can't appreciate it. You can't grow from it. You can't, I think the struggle is what produces the growth. The struggle is what produces the gratitude and the appreciation. I've been victorious in things in my life that were very easy. They were not difficult for me to accomplish. And I was still victorious in them, but there was no challenge to it. And they're kind of a fleeting memory, where the things that have produced the most struggle, the most emotional attachment, the most growth, those are the things that, yes, I'm also victorious in, but I appreciate them, I cherish them, and they've helped me grow as an individual. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So what about the second question, Jerry? Does the initiation of a dream initiate the struggle automatically?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that one, 100%, because once you make a commitment like that, especially if you let other people know, then there's an expectation involved, right? And so sometimes I think the struggle isn't coming from an outward perspective. So sometimes it is. Sometimes you announce a dream, you say, I am going to achieve this, and there's a lot of outward forces that are going to try and keep you from being who you're meant to be. They're going to try and keep you from being great, and it might come from very sensitive areas like a spouse or a relative or one of your closest friends who's like, what are you doing? Why would you even try to do this? This is stupid. This is not where your priority should be. Like, I have people on my team that struggle in all of those areas, and so the struggle might come from an outward force. But I think a big part of the struggle comes within us because we announce this dream, and then we have this expectation to fulfill it. And this is very sensitive to me right now because I fought for Diamond now for a year, and I've set 3 different goals of when I was going to hit Diamond. And I've been very public and announced my goal. And then I have this expectation. I work so hard, and I'm working through these struggles. But really, the biggest struggle for me is the one inside me. It's the one inside me that's, when I'm going to bed at night, and it's, am I going to do it? Am I going to make it? Am I going to fulfill this dream? Am I going to be victorious? And then the moment comes, and it's a not yet, and that struggle of keeping a positive attitude and recognizing that it's not my time yet, that the time will come, and to be patient and appreciate the journey. I think sometimes that's the hardest part of the struggle. So when you announce a dream, the struggle comes from 2 places. It can come from outside sources, or it can come within yourself. And I know for me, most of my struggle has been within my own self.
You know, Jerry, you are an awesome person, and as you talk, and as you've outlined, what some of your struggles have been and how many times you've set the goal out there and how many times you've pressed against that, I can see you as Diamond, and I can see how sweet and amazing that moment's going to be. And for you, I think the joy is going to be inexpressible, and I'm really excited for you. And so there's another thing. What is your dream, Jerry, that keeps you moving forward in that struggle?
I have so many. I have a list, and some days there's one on the list that's stronger than others. when my husband comes home from a really hard day at work and I see the exhaustion on his face and his discouragement with what he's doing because he doesn't enjoy it as much as he used to, that day, my dream is to retire him and to give him the freedom to do what he wants to do. And when I have my mentoring calls with my team, and my dream is to have them feel success and to achieve their goals, that during those moments, that's my dream, is to see my leaders be successful. But, when it comes down to it, my dream is to achieve this goal that I've had for so long. I've been a stay-at-home mom for almost 14 years, and I've always wanted to prove to myself that I can do something great, not just in the home, but outside of the home, and make a difference on the world. And when doTERRA presented this opportunity to me, I felt like this was my opportunity to do something great and to prove to myself that I'm capable of accomplishing something really great. And in my eyes, hitting the rank of diamond and seeing how that affects the different people in my organization and the different lives that I'm able to touch in the process of hitting diamond, I mean, that's my ultimate goal. I want a sense of accomplishment. I want to prove to myself that I am capable of being great.
You are great. You are just flat out great. And you're going to go way
Rod.
beyond. I'm just telling you now, you are going way beyond diamond. And I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
In that journey. All right, I heard a voice. Was that?
That was me. It's Brianna.
Okay, go ahead, Brianna.
So I had a call, and so I ended up hopping on late, and so I don't know exactly what the question was. I do want to share this, is when I hopped on and I heard Jerry talking, I thought it was Katie Glasgow. So, Jerry, keep on doing what you're doing. The things that you had to say were amazing and very profound, and you are well on your way. You obviously, for me, sounded like a blue diamond, so.
That's so awesome. See what I tell you, Jerry? You're right there. You're right there. You're in the space of being.
Thank you.
All right, we have a hand up from Melissa Guthrie.
Hi, Rod. Thank you so much for this topic. As everyone's been talking, it's just been like a flood of like my life just kind of passing before me, seeing all the different times in my life that I've experienced the dream, struggle, victory. And I think the reality of it is that it is a constant part of life, because life is basically an athletic event, and it has a start, it kind of has a finish, and we know that we all have kind of a victory for our life and a dream, and there's going to be the adversity that comes in the middle. There's just no way of escaping it. And we can take that dream, struggle, and victory and see that it applies in all areas of our life. It can be surrounding our health. It can be surrounding relationships. It can be in a professional pursuit. It can be in an educational pursuit. It just applies in every single area of our life. And, I've got two, probably what I would say kind of for me, very personal experiences with the dream, struggle, victory. One is in relation to my athletic pursuit. And, whenever we set out to do an athletic event, we have the dream and we have some type of a victory we want to achieve. And for some of us, it's, to win first, and it's to get a medal, or it's to be on the podium. For some of us, it's just to cross the finish line. But we get to determine what that victory is. No one else determines that for us. We get to choose. But what I have found is that there's certain things within this journey that we can control, and there's other things that we cannot control. And for a lot of years, I based my victory on, did I win? Did I get on the podium? Did I get a medal around my neck? And it took a lot of the joy out of the experience. And as I started to work with a coach, we started to set some different objectives because, you know, when you go out on a race course, there's so many factors you cannot control the weather. You can't control who shows up to the race, who may be faster or more better prepared than you. You can't control what your body's going to do even on race day. So there's a lot of different elements that are beyond your control. And so to set the goal that I'm going to win or I'm going to take top 5 is something it's a great ideal to have, but it's not always within our control. So what I learned to do was to set little victories within the race, within the event. And those victories were based on what I could control. I could control if I executed with precision in different elements of my race. I could control if I really gave it my all. I could control if I ate the right things at the right time during the race, and if I hydrated at the right time during the race. And if I just focused on having joy in every step of that race. And when I started to reframe what I considered victory for myself, it became a more joyous process. And I found that I can win all throughout a race, and I can win at the end, even if I don't podium, even if I don't get a medal around my neck. I can cross that finish line knowing that I gave all I had, and that I did the very best I possibly could, and I executed with precision on every element. And so that's been a great transition for me. And I've been able to apply that to other areas of my life as well. Many people know that I've never been married, and I'm not the youngest kid on the block. And of course, you know, I grew up believing that I was going to get married, you know, early on in college, and I was going to be a mom of 6 kids, and I was going to have an awesome husband, and we were going to live in this beautiful home, and I was going to drive a Suburban, and I was, you know, preparing myself to be the best wife and mom that I could be. Well, you know, 20 years later, I still haven't realized that dream. And so when, you know, you look at all the struggles that somebody goes through when so much of our society, like, that's a norm, and you start to feel like something's wrong with you, or that you're broken, or that you're somehow overlooked, or whatever the case may be. And those are some of the struggles that people that have never married experience and go through. And what I've learned and what I'm continuing to learn is that you have to redefine what would be victory in life. And that, you know, the end prize may not be marriage and family in the time frame that you desire it to be, but you can still have a meaningful life, and you can still have joy every day, and you can still have a purpose. And so again, you know, I can't necessarily control what, you know, the day that I get married and become a wife or a mom, but what can I control? I can control each day how I choose to show up, and I can control how I how I choose to make every day a victory throughout this journey. So I just think that that's important as well within our doTERRA businesses, that we don't just look at the rank advancement, the rank achievement as the great victory, but that we find a way to find a victory every single day. If it's just, hey, I executed with precision on 631 today, or you know what, I followed up with that person that I've been procrastinating to follow up with today. That was a win. That was a victory. So those are my thoughts.
I love those points, Melissa, and excellent points on establishing your victories or setting your victories at different levels, even if you're striving for an overarching dream, and allowing that to provide you with joy along the journey. And I think many people on the call may know or may not know, but Melissa is a Team USA qualifying athlete and competes now 3 years now running with Team USA in qualifying for World Championships now in 3 events. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. And now you have given some great examples, Melissa, of different different struggles and things that have been preceded your victories and how you've managed that in your life. What would be the points of precision, or what should a new distributor set their sights on in terms of declaring victories on a daily basis? Are you talking about daily, weekly, monthly, all of the above? What would be some tactical stuff that you'd give them?
Yeah, I think, Rod, that absolutely those little victories can apply at all of those levels. In some cases, it might be an hour-by-hour victory, depending on the day. But definitely a daily victory, a weekly victory, a monthly, quarterly, yearly. I think those are all great benchmarks to be able to set a victory point. And, I would say for somebody that's just starting out, we've got the quick start guide, and there's some specific objectives to be met that get you kind of off the launch pad and get your business going. And, so a victory could be, did I clarify my goals? Did I journal every day for 7 days about my why? Those that can be very simple, like, hey, I'm victorious there because I completed that. And then, getting that names list completed, that can be a victory. And even if it's like, well, gosh, I don't have my names list completed yet. I haven't got the 100 or the 500 people on my names list yet. But hey, did I add 3 new people to my names list today? Great. I can check that off as a victory. So each person is going to be very individual for, I would say, you could set a victory of, hey, did I show up to the team calls every week? Hey, are you on this call? Great. Let's count that as a victory. But I think within that, you could also, look at, it's easy to put this on speakerphone and, just be multitasking, but it's also a different thing to sit down and have a pen and paper and really be seeking for what can I learn from these people that have gone before me and who are achieving the things I want to achieve. So I think each person, again, can define what that victory looks like at different levels.
Right, absolutely. I have one other question, too. This one's kind of on a personal note, and it may be for some a great inspiration, because certainly you have a very special and unique story that's very inspirational. And now I would say it's probably 8 years ago that I was sitting next to you in a conference where you had written down your desire to compete on an Olympic level. And we had talked about that, and you had kind of put that out there as a dream. And then we fast forward to today, where now you're a 3-time qualifying Team USA athlete. How could you give us kind of a snapshot of your story of that dream, that struggle and victory?
Oh, wow. Okay. I'll try to keep it concise. So I had probably the dream of being an athlete from the time I was very young. There was just something about athletes that inspired me, and I think it really was the dream, struggle, and victory that inspired me. I saw these people that would achieve amazing things, but you also see the challenge that they overcome to get there. And it was just something that really inspired me. So I wanted to be an athlete from a young age, and I tried all different sports, and there was just a lot of sports that I just wasn't really good at. And it wasn't until I, went through, a weight struggle with my weight and lost all the weight and started to feel more confident in my athletic skills. And at this point, I'm in college, just kind of more of a recreational athlete, that I started to run with a group where one of my fellow runner friends was a three-time Olympic trials. She'd been in Olympic trials 3 times for the marathon, and she planted a seed in me that I could be a great runner, and I could even compete at the Olympic level. And so that's where I think the dream was really fueled there. And from there, I went on to compete, more recreationally, but in running, and transitioned to triathlon. And when I started to do triathlon, I realized that that's really where my passion was, and that I had a gift. I was above average at that. And through that, I learned that I could, even at the amateur level, I could be part of Team USA. And this was something that I had no comprehension of before. And when I realized that, I just jumped at it. I was like, okay, what do I have to do to get there? And so I just started to pursue it. And so I think that the real thing about when we have a dream is we have to decide. Because there's a lot of people that are way more talented and gifted as athletes than I am. But the difference between me and them is they didn't decide to do it, and I did. And so, I made that decision, and then it worked hard. That's the other part of achieving a goal, and the struggle is hard work. I train 6 to 7 days a week, and for most of my early triathloning career, I was self-coached because I didn't have the money to hire a coach or to have the best equipment. And so, one of the things that I knew I wanted to do was I wanted to race all around the world and build my business as I went. I wanted a business that could fuel my dream, but then also that I could keep building my business as I traveled around the world training and racing. And I just, I set that. I wrote it out, and, you saw me. I wrote it out. And that's another key about a goal achievement, is that it has to be written. It can't just be an idea in our head. I've done a bazillion vision boards, and I've posted things all over my house surrounding that. I also surround myself with really great athletes that are better than me. I try to train with athletes who are better than me that will help push me to that next level. And then once I got to the point that I had the financial resources, I sought out a coach. And that coach has helped me to be able to push myself farther than I could push myself. And each year we set out a calendar of what I want to achieve, and I just work really hard and I go for it. And sometimes I have great races and sometimes I don't, and I just keep going. But like I said, I just set victory points at every level so that there is joy regardless of whether I make Team USA or not. But I've been extremely blessed at this point to make Team USA in 3 different sports. And so on an average year, I race anywhere from 3 to 5 national championship races and anywhere from 1 to 3 world championship races. And I get to go all over the world, and it's amazing.
Right. It is amazing, and what I really appreciate you taking the time to share your story today, Melissa, is because I was there when you stated the dream. And I've been with you the whole time during the struggle. And I've watched you achieve the victory. And so go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I guess I didn't really allude on what some of the struggles were through this journey, which might be helpful for people. Obviously, there was the financial struggle that I had to go through. There was a point where I didn't have enough money to put gas in my car, let alone have a gym membership or get to a gym or enter a race. Like, those things were so far out of my, realm of even possibility, because I didn't even have, I was basically homeless. I was living on my mom's couch, and I didn't have money to put gas in my car. So there was a whole financial struggle that I went through during this time period. There was also a lot of physical. I came out of a world championship back in 2005, and less than a month later broke my foot. I've broken 2 collarbones. I've had other, injuries that set me back. And every time you have injuries, small ones you just work through. They're just an inconvenience. But you have some of these bigger ones, and you have people telling you, you know what, Melissa, maybe it's just better if you pick a different sport. Maybe you should just stay off of things with 2 wheels from now on. And maybe this just isn't right for you. And so you then start to, doubt, and you start to think, well, maybe that person's right. Maybe I'm going through this adversity because this isn't the right path for me. And so it's important to remember to, yes, take, listen to counsel from others, but take it also, consider the source. And remember to always stay true to your heart, because your heart won't lie. And that's an important part of this as well, because I think we probably know that within doTERRA we have a lot of naysayers and a lot of people that tell us, well, you're probably on the wrong track, or, network marketing is just a scam, or, hey, you've been struggling to hit that rank for so long, maybe you just need to go choose a different path. So we can hear those voices that come at us, and it's important that we filter through those and just remember that the most important person to listen to is ourselves, and what our heart is telling us is the right path for us.
Wow, I got some great stuff from your comments, and I'm just going to summarize these a little bit. So Melissa talked about claiming your dream, writing it down, surrounding yourself with those that are going towards the same dream, working hard, appreciating the small victories, and staying true to your heart. That's pretty awesome. That was a lesson in itself. That's fantastic. Well, thanks so much for sharing, Melissa. I'm sure your story is huge. All right, Desiree Mangandag.
Hello. Move to the other room. So big screaming. Okay. So for me, I love the struggle, and I actually love the struggle more than the victory. It sounds kind of odd. I do, because, the victory is like, well, yeah, of course I'm going to hit diamond. I mean, I did all this work. I was not really shocked or surprised. But I want to kind of go back to when I hit silver, because to me, oh my gosh, that was the sweetest time, because that's when, the dream was born, and then the actions began. And then I got to see my true self, my character, what I'm capable of. And I got to meet the most amazing people. and I love the journey of building doTERRA, because I genuinely love people. So for me, that's not a struggle. Like, I love connecting. I love to get to know. I love community. Like, building community is huge for me. So I went from a small little circle of friends before doTERRA, and then going into doTERRA, I came out with this huge family of thousands of people. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. So yeah, I'm not saying it was easy. I mean, I remember the day that I hit silver, the last 2 days in that month, I lost my voice, because I was teaching like 3 classes a day, 6 days a week, and I literally taught 2 classes with no voice. I don't know how. I can't even remember how I did that, but I managed it. So you don't even have to have a voice to teach classes. There's no excuse. So yeah, and then we're leaving right now. Where are your parents, John?
Oh, needs to mute their line. Anyways,
And then the other thing I wanted to share was my journey of understanding the oils and writing blends, because the seed was planted last year for me. The dream started like July of last year, and then I started to just play around and started writing things and testing things out. And I look at my journals from when I first started writing blends to today. And oh my goodness, I went from complete, like, not knowing, amateurish to an expert. And I once in a while glance back at the struggle, at the journey of when I first started writing, and I go through my blends. I'm like, oh my goodness, I see where my head was going at that time, but I was a little bit off. But to see how the refinement process of the skills increasing, the mastery of it. Oh my gosh, it's so sweet to observe and watch that. And I'm so grateful that I, call somebody up and it's like, hey, Lindsay, I feel like you need some lemongrass on your spine. And that sounds totally crazy, but she doesn't. She's like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. And so just trusting in myself, trusting in my intuition, trusting in my gut, and trusting in the process of learning something new. Even when you build doTERRA, guys, that's a new skill that you got to learn, learning something new and enjoying it every moment. And I'm so grateful that I wasn't like, oh, I suck at writing blends, I should just stop. There's other people who could do it. There's plenty of other doTERRA builders. What's the point? But I didn't put myself in that headspace. I was like, you know what? I'm doing this. Just like Melissa and her journey. Like, I'm doing this. I don't care if I suck right now. I'm going through it. And then to see yourself grow and expand with every single day, every bit of time that you put towards it, it's just, wow, you have this sense of pride, a pride that, not like an ego pride, but like, you know what, I can do anything I put my mind to. So just don't forget the sweetness of it all, because you'll look back. I look back at my whole, like, silver and gold and diamond and blue diamond. I'm like, it was so amazing. I'm so proud of myself and so grateful for everyone who was a part of that journey. And I just love the struggle. I think it's all about the struggle. I'm all about the journey and not the destination. And even when I've arrived at diamond, and even though I've arrived at blue diamond, I haven't arrived. I feel like I'm just starting. I just started making videos, and I'm like, I'm starting right now. Like now actually getting through diamond and blue diamond, I've really understood, like, my message, my voice, my purpose, even more so than when I hit diamond. And then now I understand my influence now. So that's so powerful. I am ready for even more. Like, I feel like I'm just beginning. So there's never really a destination, guys. I mean, they're really nice. Those ranks are great and stuff, but you got to love the journey. You've got to, because if you don't love the journey, what is the point? Find a different journey. I don't mean to dissuade anyone from doing things, but you got to just love it. You got to love people. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I would say that looking back through the years, I would have to agree that the journey is where the joy is built. And it's certainly the resistance that creates the strength. And so I'd have to agree to you. I actually, I'm like you. I actually relish the journey, and I've learned to really appreciate the struggles. And it's because ultimately that's where the awesomeness of it is. That is awesome. All right, let's see. We have a hand up from Lindsay. See if your line will unmute here. All right, go ahead, Lindsay.
Sorry, I had to hide first. I was hiding in a bathroom now. What Desiree was saying really spoke to me, and that's why I decided I had to say something. Because although I have not fully arrived to where I thought I was going to be a year ago or even 6 months ago, I'm not where I want to be. But I know every single day that the steps that I'm taking, even when I'm hitting that resistance, but actually even more that I know that I'm hitting that resistance, I know I'm on the right path, because this is something that I remind myself on a daily basis, that if it were easy, every single person would be successful. Every single person would be able to do it. But because it's not easy is why it's worth it. And that's something that when I'm sitting there frustrated that I know I should be farther along. No, you shouldn't be, because if it was easy, you wouldn't want to be there. You wouldn't want to do this. If it were easy, everybody could do it. But the reason why I'm going to be Blue Diamond walking next year is because of the struggle that I've had to go against, because I was strong enough to fight through the struggle, because it's worth it.
I love the declaration there, Lindsay. You're on tape.
I'm not afraid of it. I know it's going to be there because I'm standing in it, though, is why I am attracting the people that are going to go there with me. Because if I was still where I was a year ago, and Desiree and Sarah will admit to it, that I was meek and quiet and didn't understand what in the heck I was doing. I was just doing with nothing behind it. So I've needed that time to figure out me and to figure out the power that is within me. And I don't think that I would realize that unless I had had to struggle with everything building-wise, everything doTERRA-wise, everything life-wise. I mean, this year I've battled cancer and PCS moves and moving out of the country and all of these things. If I hadn't had those struggles, I wouldn't be strong enough to stand here and tell Rob Richardson and everybody on the Edge team that I'm going to be Blue Diamond next year. I wouldn't have that in me. And then I wouldn't attract the people that I am attracting at this point. So I think it's the struggle that builds us to get us where we want to go.
Absolutely. What a beautiful point. I think Melissa would agree that it's the training that makes the athlete. And you're saying basically the same thing in the business. It's the struggle that creates the leader. It's the trial, the energy, the commitment, and because these bigger ranks, mandate that you become a new person. And
yes.
It's very hard to attract on a big level, and to be and to attract that much leadership and keep that many people motivated and moving forward if you're not becoming that leader in the process. And so I truly think that the struggle is by divine design, and it's my opinion that the struggles that each of us face are tailor-made to each individual, meaning that the struggles that you're facing are specifically tailored to you to help you grow into what you can possibly be. Would you agree with that, Lindsay?
150%. And I believe that specifically my struggles were not the belief in the product or the belief in the company. It was the belief in myself being worthy to do it, because I didn't know anything about holistic health. I didn't know anything about wellness. I grew up in Kansas and we ate steak and potato and vegetables out of cans. That's what I knew. But knowing that I can transform and change and I don't want to say motivate, but inspire people to go on that journey with me, because I'm not perfect. I'm not 100% this pure vegan yogi, 100% wellness-based person, but I'm in the process of becoming more. And in the process of that, when I'm becoming more, I'm able to bring people with me who want to become more. So 150% what you said, Rod, absolutely. Our struggle is unique to what we need to grow.
Right. As soon as I recognize that for myself, then I'm able to come to that conclusion too after mentoring thousands of people over several years, and realizing that this is why, and it's for that reason that I've actually started to become like Desiree, where I actually appreciate the struggle. I actually take joy in the journey itself, joy in the struggles that we face, because I realize that it's another tailor-made thing specifically to help me become what I need to be to become my greatest being. And that's awesome. And I know about some of your struggles, Lindsay, which are just sheerly amazing, which makes you even more just walking and talking awesomeness.
Thanks.
All right. Let's see. Any other hands? We've got just a few minutes left. Virginia Hume.
The struggle's been not an easy one. To enjoy the struggle is something I've had to work at. These calls have helped me endure and to reach out to different ones of you at different times just because I recognize one of you had information that helped me to go the next step. And I'm amazed and grateful of the example of breathing faith into us when we're just busy just taking the next step and trying to help our leader that's beginning to have a good experience and learn from our mistakes so that they don't have to scrape their knee as many times. I just appreciated this phone call. It has just made such a difference for me so that I could move forward, and I thank you.
Oh, you're most welcome, Virginia, and you've always been an awesome contributor, too. All right, Jacqueline Child.
So I don't know if this is a good comment to end on, so I'll make it short so you can get someone else in here. But when I was in college, I studied like marriage relationships, and one of the things I learned was that there's certain marital problems that you'll never fix. And, you know, a lot of times people think, oh, with the right communication or therapy or whatever, we can fix any problem that our marriage might have. And there are certain ones that are solvable, and there's others that are just literally never going to go away. And as I've been building this business and as we've had this struggle, I just want to emphasize what Desiree said about, you know, enjoying the journey, because I found there's a lot of struggles that I had at the beginning that I continue to have. They have not gone away. They have not changed. And there's others that have gone away. Those were the solvable ones. So I guess what I want to just say is if we don't enjoy the journey, then we're going to be pretty miserable in this, because there's certain struggles that are always going to be struggles. There's certain challenges that are always going to be challenges, and they're just innately part of the journey. Maybe it's our personality or whatever it might be. But keeping in mind just that enjoying the journey is so important, because you might just be surprised, even at a higher level in doTERRA like I am, how much those struggles continue to face you and they don't go away. And so you can be very bitter, or you can be upset, or you can give up, or you can just say, you know what, this is part of the journey, and why, ask yourself that statement that Seth says a lot, why am I grateful for the struggle, and just have that perspective instead.
Excellent point. Excellent point. Well, that is a fantastic point. I'm unmuting the line for Johanna.
Hi, Rod.
Hi.
Hey, I just had a quick thought. The picture that just keeps coming to mind, or the idea, is pregnancy, and just how you decide you want to have a family, and there's a process of, getting pregnant, and of course that takes a different amount of time for everybody. And then the part that really stuck out to me is that pregnancy is a process where things are changing, and you have days where you feel really good, and you have days where you just feel horrible, and it's different for everybody. Everybody's journey is different. And then the part that really was kind of just, it gets harder right before you have your baby, right? Because you have to go through labor, so it gets really difficult. And right at that point where you're in labor and you're like ready to just throw in the towel and say, forget it, I don't want to do it anymore, is where it shifts and it moves, and you deliver your baby, and then there's that joyous moment of victory, I guess in this case, but that joyous moment where you have your baby and you forget about that struggle, right? And then you begin that whole new struggle of learning how to parent and figuring things out. And so it just kind of put into context, everybody's journey is different. Everybody's, in my mind, everybody's pregnancy is different. And, when you have a set due date, like your goal of like, oh, I want to achieve this goal by this date. And then, sometimes we, hit it early, or our due date goes by and we're waiting. But the really cool thing is I just thought that it's going to happen. You can't stop the process at that point if you're continuing. You know what I mean? And it's just a beautiful thing to know that, your victory is coming, and it's just a little bit of time in there, and things maybe have to shift or change or move in order for that to happen.
I love the analogy. Thanks for sharing, Johanna. We are at the top of the hour, and I did want to give you one final dream, struggle, and victory that occurred just before this call. I had the opportunity to be on a phone call with Diamonds and Emily Wright. doTERRA did a study of June and July and had discovered that through their research that those of you that are experiencing drops in volume, for example, which would be the struggle, is not attributed to saturation in any market. They ran enrollment numbers by city and determined that saturation is not a reality in any existing marketplace continually, but that the drop has been directly a result of people being afraid of sharing their oil stories. And so what they announced is that they are going to relax. They're not getting rid of, but relaxing the stringency on compliance. And they have asked that we do not make disease claims and that we don't make direct references to replacing medicines. But as a result, wanted us to view our discussions online, for example, of looking at things in terms of where you would be most cautious. So, for example, you don't want to have a static website that makes any health claims or violates any FDA rules. You do have more flexibility when you're talking to individuals personally, and they wanted to make sure that the culture of the company is not drifting to a lifestyle or opportunity-based discussion, meaning that being our primary pitch, because that is directly impacting retention rate and slowdown. And so what she wanted us to do is to make sure that we're staying true to the cause of why we're in essential oils and the healing and nurturing power of essential oils and that they have in the world, and the mission that doTERRA has to bring those oils to the world. And so as a result, you may be hearing less from compliance or getting notices in terms of activities that may be occurring. And so, again, they just wanted to emphasize also that because of this, they are now bringing back the doctors and the science to the convention. You might remember that last year, because of the scare, they canceled all the doctors and research that was supposed to be presented at convention. This year, they are bringing it back, and so wanted to make sure that everyone's excited to recognize that Johns Hopkins research and all these really cool things are coming back in convention, and they're monitoring them a little bit in terms of exactly what will be presented, but had indicated that the full research may be revealed in side symposiums that are not sponsored by doTERRA. So in other words, i.e. the research will be made available, but it won't be directly at convention. And that, but at the same time, they will be there and they will be presenting that a lot of that really cool information along with the doctors and stuff at convention, which is really exciting to me. This is phenomenal because I had thought that over the last year with different things that we had that struggle as a company of losing our heart and passion about staying focused on what the true mission is, and then seeing the company come back around and saying that they want to push our message forward as much as legally possible, and so I hope that I felt today that it actually brought a little bit of tears to my eyes, recognizing that we're not being silenced in our message that we know is truth, and that we do have the ability, based on the environment that we're in, to share our essential oil stories. And so I appreciate you all. This was a fantastic call, and I wish you all a very happy and successful week.